This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
The Power Trip is headed back to Las Vegas October 23rd through 27th, thanks to Carousel Travel. Join the guys for an all-new trip, including exclusive experiences with axe throwing and a private reception at the Bet MGM Sportsbook, with tons of free food and drinks and a custom branded Bills Power Trip Vegas hat and shirt combo. Book your trip now at KFAN.com, keyword Vegas.
Covers the Minnesota Vikings for the Star Tribune and StarTribune.com. Follow him via Twitter, as 9 to Noon does, at Ben Goessling. And eventually, once we catch stride and find our metaphorical verbal feet, Standard Heating and Air will be sponsoring Ben Goessling's appearances, as it has for at least the last year. So thank you, Standard Heating and Air, for that. And Ben joins us now. What's your A topic into camp 2025? And good morning.
Good morning. I hate to be boring. I hate to be straightforward, but the A topic obviously is JJ McCarthy. I mean, you go into a training camp where you have a quarterback that people haven't seen very much. It adds a unique element to it. It reminds me a lot of, I think 2014 would have been the first one with Teddy Bridgewater, and the how's Teddy looking
every day,
multiple times a day when we were down in Mankato. And of course, those first few days where fans are not there, you're kind of the link to how this player is actually looking, and it gets very easy to overthink it. It gets very easy to overrate what you see in a training camp practice. But this one is more unique than a lot of them because you have a quarterback who is the starter. I mean, nobody's debating that, but there's a lot for him to show and a lot for him to, I think, develop through as we get towards the season. And the team's obviously very excited about where he's at, but that component of it adds, I think, a daily level of intrigue beyond what you see in a lot of training camps, because it's been a long time since we had one like this where you had a lot of questions about the quarterback, or just a lot of intrigue, I think, about what the quarterback's going to do. And this one makes it unique.
You were there for Kwesi and KO,
yes.
I assume?
Yes.
How much did JJ McCarthy dominate that conversation?
It came up quite a bit. I mean, a lot of discussion about the progress for him, kind of what they want to see out of him in training camp. I asked Kevin O'Connell, because we kind of heard this discussion in OTA's minicamp about him making a lot of throws where it was, hey, I'm going to try this here. I might throw this route. It may be the third read on something, and the coverage may dictate that I normally go somewhere else, but I want to see, if I see something, can I make this type of a throw? And then, a couple of the turnovers come from those types of things, and him kind of exploring the ends of the bandwidth, so to speak. I asked Kevin O'Connell about that yesterday, and he said, yeah, this is more where you get to the decision-making processes have to look a little more like you would see during the season. And what you do on a 1st and 10 is going to be different than, a 3rd and 3 that you have to keep the drive going. A lot of those types of discussions, I think, are going to shift a little bit. So the decision-making process for McCarthy is, I think, something that we'll have a better eye on and probably a better sense of where he's at, because I do think they want to see him look a little more like what they would do during the season. It's not to rein him in necessarily, but this is a little more like the real thing. So I think a lot of those discussions that you'll see him having when fans are out here, you'll see a lot of those discussions between plays, him and Josh McCown, him and Kevin O'Connell, him and Wes Phillips, about, hey, what were you thinking here? I think a lot of those discussions are going to be a lot more like what you'd see during the season. So as they're evaluating those things, I think it's going to be interesting to watch that. That was kind of my level of intrigue with the McCarthy stuff yesterday.
Yeah, and, you had me kind of thinking about the parallels and maybe some deviations from that going back to Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah.
But 2014, I guess I was kind of similar to a year ago with McCarthy, where and I was scrambling so I didn't mean I was listening and paying attention.
Yeah.
But Christian Ponder, and I think it was Matt Castle.
Matt Castle, yep.
And Matt Castle gets hurt like week 2 or 3,
maybe week 3 in New Orleans.
He gets twisted up against New Orleans.
Yep.
And then I can't remember. So Teddy makes his debut maybe against the Falcons for his first start.
First start was at TCF Bank Stadium against the Falcons.
It was a shootout. Maybe the Falcons win it, or maybe
I think the Vikings won it.
Do.
Teddy had a good day. I think ran in for a touchdown and had like a big spike.
And that's so it's touchdown Teddy.
Yep.
It's everybody's on. We got it. And then I think he got nicked up a bit.
Yes.
And then Ponder comes in, throws that pick to Julius Peppers, and it was like, ooh, that guy's career's over.
Yep.
We need Teddy back and move on. And so in some respects, Teddy working in that stage, he stayed healthy for the most part throughout 2014. It was always kind of assumed he wouldn't start.
Right.
So, but in this case now with McCarthy, you are going to start. And, save for, cross your fingers, not a second injury, right? Stay healthy.
Right.
But save for an abject failure to produce anything on the field here over the next month and change, he is the guy. So just kind of a little bit different scenario, something we've been begging for.
Yeah.
Many Vikings fans have been since even Kirk Cousins coming to Minnesota in 2018.
Yeah, there's no doubt. As you go through that, I kind of think back through it. This is my 14th year covering the team. As we talk about it, I don't know that I've seen a training camp situation with a quarterback that's quite like this, because as you bring it up, Bridgewater came into that camp and he played well, and I think it was going to be, if he's ready to take the job and go, then I don't think they're going to hold him back. But they went into that thinking Matt Castle was going to be the guy, and obviously Matt Castle becomes the guy coming out of that training camp. So the idea that you have somebody who is the starter and hasn't done it on the field, even if the team is as excited about him as they appear to be, does add a level of uniqueness to this one that, certainly in 14 years covering the team, I don't think I've seen something quite like this. So, not to hyperbolize things to the degree that this is, the axis of the world is hinging on this, but it is
for the Vikings in some ways.
In a lot of ways it is. You're
I don't
right.
think you can understate or overstate it. I
mean, this is the plan. This is the guy that they have staked reputations on and probably staked, livelihoods on in some ways. And if this plan works, I was looking this up for, from the newsletter on Friday, looking into the idea of the rookie quarterback cheat code. How much of a cheat code is it? It's a big cheat code. I mean, I looked up the cap hits for the starting quarterbacks from all of the Super Bowl teams since the 2011 new CBA that changed all of the rookie salaries.
Yeah.
And I think like 10 of the 14 or 15 that have come out of the NFC account for like 7% of your salary cap or less. So it's guys playing on cheap contracts. I mean, for comparison, say Kirk Cousins was like 14, 15.
Correct. And that was the big thing when the team, if the Hatfields and McCoys throwing rocks across the fence at each other of the pro and the anti-Kirk going back to 2018. Yeah. And you could have played that game, actually. I think it was 94. It was Steve Young with the Niners when they won. That was they played, whatever the arbitrary waterline statistic was. It was like 13%, we'll say, or maybe 14. And Kirk would have been the first guy since then, if they had won the Super Bowl, to surpass that number.
Yeah.
The cheat code of whether it's Russell Wilson early in his career, it was Ben Roethlisberger.
Russell Wilson was less than 1% of their cap.
Even
in those 2 years
with the Legion of Boom. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
And then and you can even think Aaron Rodgers before he truly started making massive money in 2010.
Yep.
And the list out, Flacco would be a good example with the Ravens.
Jared Goff gets to a Super Bowl, Garoppolo.
So unless you're a dynasty, even Brady was well known for taking a little less cash if it meant he got to keep his boys together. So the cheat code exists. The cheat code's real, and the ability to do what Kwesi did in free agency, it all kind of lines up together.
Yeah.
Okay, so if that's the one, what would be the 1A? So behind McCarthy, what would, with your mind, your heart, your steam, your knowledge, what's the 1A behind McCarthy?
I would say the offensive line, because they put a lot of money into it, and that was something the head coach was as direct as he's going to get on a microphone about after that playoff game, the need to improve the interior offensive line. They spent big on it. Kevin O'Connell said yesterday Will Fries is good to go after that tibia fracture last October with the Colts. He is full cleared. He's cleared for training camp completely. Ryan Kelly here is the new center. We'll see left guard if it's Donovan Jackson, if it's Blake Brandel. But how that group meshes with McCarthy, I think, is something I'm very interested to see, how Ryan Kelly and he work together setting protections and just how good that group is in front of him, because if that change works, that is a major shift for this offense. I mean, how many years have we talked about offensive line questions and protection issues for whether it's Cousins or Keenum or Bridgewater? I mean, the number of snaps those guys are pressured. If that changes, that's a big thing. And then I look at the other side of the ball in the line of scrimmage with Javon Hargrave and Jonathan Allen here. If that front becomes more disruptive with those two guys in here, and then all of the depth that they expect to have behind them, Redmond, Taimani, Levi Drake Rodriguez, etc., I think that is a big shift as well. So it's really those two. I mean, we could talk corners. You always can.
Well, you win 3. But you win 1A, 1B, with the defensive line being 1B.
I'm going to go lines of scrimmage is the 1A.
Okay.
To put it all together.
So now with from a wide receiver standpoint, the amount of tight ends they have on the roster who will play in a majority of the preseason games, I mean in games 2 and 3. Yeah, it's you got 2, and one of them's physically unable to perform.
Right.
So that's a small number that could grow. From a receiving standpoint, I can't remember this many receivers on a roster into a training camp where with Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Rondale Moore cleared for practice.
Yep.
So you got those 4 who assumedly are prohibitively favored to take up 5 or 6 of the spots, depending on how many they keep. So now after that, it's all of these receivers. Are they battling? Are they fighting out? Are they battling each other for one spot, like 1 or 2 spots?
Well, probably, because you figure Ty Felton goes in there too, and that's a 3rd-round pick, so he makes the team.
Well, that's 5.
Right, that's 5 right there.
Wow.
And the Addison question is going to be determined in the next few weeks here if the NFL is going to make a decision about a possible suspension for him. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah said yesterday they have been in contact with the league. League's going through its process. Vikings don't know the timetable on that. But if that ends up being a suspension, then you have to figure out what that looks like for the first 3 games of the year, possibly, if it's that long. So there's those questions. But beyond that, I mean, Addison and Jefferson and Addison in that order are 1, 2. They're excited about Naylor. Naylor, I think, is going to be 3. And then Moore is a guy. Felton does a lot of these same things. They want that guy that can take a screen and possibly pop something for 50 yards. And both of those guys have that in their game. That's something that can help a young quarterback as well. So you look at those 2 possibly being 4 and 5. Yeah, there's a lot of competition, and there aren't many spots that I think are just, up for grabs. Somebody will surprise in camp, as they always do. But, there's a lot of competition at that spot.
The kick and the punt return game, specifically punt return, could really play into this.
Yes.
In other words, Rondale Moore may be considered. Isaiah Rodgers, I believe, has a chance to return kicks. Silas Bolden, undrafted. I think he can return punts.
Yes.
So like, are you steamy, or is it too early? Are you steamy on anybody yet from that voluminous wide receiver group who's like, but this guy, might be able to do this on special teams and do this, and that would give him a leg up?
Yeah, Bolden is certainly one to watch there. I think what they do with the special team stuff is worth watching, because Matt Daniels talked about this a little bit with that kickoff changing again, where the touchback now goes out to the 35. The NFL is very much hoping that incentivizes teams to put the ball in play, saying, we don't want to give them the ball at the 35. Let's try to see if we can pin them deep. The NFL wants that play to continue to exist, at least in some capacity. So if it means more kick returns, it means that you probably need to be better at it and emphasizing it more. So I think that does have a bigger say in how some of these things go, because you need better return men. You need cover guys, I think, that are going to be more active. So the receiver thing gets determined there too, because Isaiah Rodgers, if he's playing as big of a role on defense as we think he will, that discussion of how much do you use him on special teams, where he can be very good, I think becomes a bigger part of the equation.
This is just a procedural question, so I don't want to put you on the spot. Real dumb, real short. If Addison was to be suspended, does that take away from the team's ability to field a full 53? Is there a special list that he's on?
Yeah.
Does it take away from it? Because one of these guys Think about like a Tim Jones, or
Yeah.
you guys are mentioning the right names with Bolden and such, but somebody who can make a name for themselves as preseason on special teams might have an ability to be active and even find a way to stick around, given that opportunity of an extra roster spot for those 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, he will go on a suspended list if he is suspended, so that will not count against the 53. So it does open up another spot for 3 weeks for somebody else.
Okay.
And whether that player gets on the field a lot and makes a name for themselves, we'll have to see. But it does give them that possibility of, if there's somebody that they like coming out of camp, and they can say, if we know the suspension is here, and it gives us another 3 weeks to bring this guy through, kind of get him through that initial stretch of roster cuts where there is so much roster churn around the league. Yeah, it does create that possibility. There will be an extra spot if, in fact, that Addison suspension is determined at the start of the season. Now, the caveat there, I would think that would be the case.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think it'd be something the NFL would spend all that much time deliberating, but if they, for some reason, didn't get it done by week 1, then we're having a different conversation about when that comes down. But I have to think that, given the relatively straightforward nature of the case, I think, and the time frame they still have, I would expect we'll get news on that before kickoff on September 8th.
The scribe, Ben Goessling, at Ben Goessling via the X machine, with JJ McCarthy. The Houston Texans preseason game?
Yeah.
So we got Texans on the 9th, Patriots at noon on the 16th, and 6 days later, they're at Tennessee to close the preseason.
Yes.
And by the way, that Tennessee game takes place day 2 of the Great Minnesota Clomp Together.
Yes.
The Minnesota State Fair. It's really, really kind of you to agree with Nordo to join 9 to noon 4 days the next week.
Yeah.
To kind of help us through the state fair.
Yeah, happy to do it.
It's a parking. The whole thing's going to be great.
The Titans,
spreadsheet.
The Titans game, Emily Liker go crazy. So that's she'll be covering that one. So I will be around. So we can talk. Your people can call my people.
So with the Texans game, seriously speaking, would you be shocked if JJ McCarthy did not play in that game? So shocked he doesn't play. Yeah. Or on the other side of it, would you be shocked if he played like a full half? And see, the reasoning here is,
interesting question.
Well, they get the Patriots for the joints the next week, Wednesday, Thursday, 13-14. Well, those are basically games.
Right.
So he ain't playing in that game.
Right.
I'd be surprised if he did.
Yep.
And then you get the final preseason game. It's different when you have somebody so new at that spot. That, I wouldn't say it's a 0 that in that final preseason game, McCarthy wouldn't play. But then we get into to whom is he throwing? Yeah. Who's blocking for him?
Yes.
Because like Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, Brian O'Neill, Darisaw.
No way.
They ain't playing in that Tennessee game.
No.
So that's probably it's over, Johnny, for JJ in the Tennessee game. Which has me thinking with the Texans game and O'Connell talking about the physical nature of camp last year, and it's going to be more physical this year.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of maybe like Justin Jefferson, Harrison Smith, maybe Aaron Jones, I wouldn't be surprised if they all play in that Texans game. It's a home game.
Yep.
People are going to want to see McCarthy.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think you laid it out nicely there. I think there's a good chance he plays in that one because, like you said, he's not going to play against the Patriots. I think those joint practices will cover them for that week. But, they did it last year where they did put the starters out there, minus the obvious players that you won't risk losing to injury for anything. But Darnold went out there and led a drive before McCarthy, I think, came into that game, if I remember right, against the Raiders.
Yeah, but they didn't have joints against the Raiders.
They did not. So I think the Texans game is probably a similar template. I would think that he'll play just to get a little bit of actual game action, and then you do the joints against the Patriots, and then probably call it good there. Maybe he gets a drive, maybe he gets a quarter, something like that in that first one, but I would tend to think he plays just to give them a little more of a chance to see game action with him because they only have that Raiders snippet from last year, so I would think they'd want to see that. There's risk to that, of course, but I would imagine that if they feel good about where he's at health-wise, that you do put him out there for that.
So the Addison news, you think will be known when?
I would bet before the season starts.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Like not next week.
I don't know for sure.
Well, what I was getting at is that if they know he's suspended 3 games, he plays every preseason game.
Yeah, because you can.
And I don't care.
The preseason.
Yeah, if it's Max Brosmer putting you on double moves,
right,
you're playing.
Yeah,
because you're not playing for these first three, right?
Yeah. I would expect that probably changes things for them with him, that he could play more because, yes, he can still do everything that you need to do through the preseason, and he'll practice, he'll play. And then the suspension would start week 1 if it does, in fact, come through.
Well, you'd still put him on the shelf for the third one, though.
Yeah, you would.
I think
I'd play him the whole game.
Just to prove a point.
Being a little medieval here, but not the whole game, but I play him in the game.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. I would just think that regardless, and we got to be culpable for our actions, and he's putting the team in an awful spot. There's no one arguing that. I hope not, anyway. I mean, the 19 TDs in the first 2 years, if it is just X's and O's, if we are metering out how people play, we do need it. What about Silas Bald? We need some. What about Wolfle walk-ons? Nobody's count. Let's not count out Thayer Thomas in a third preseason game here.
Lucky though.
I know what you're saying. I mean, and again, the 3 games. You're mentioning. Like if you're looking at the Bears, like Jalen Johnson being injured maybe to start the season, that's a problem. Alex Anzalone, whether he's holding out, holding in, suddenly there's a soft tissue injury. Weird how that crops up when the contract's at hand.
Couldn't hear you.
Yeah, exactly.
So in my ear.
So I just think,
that's good.
In the end,
that was so
a callback.
In the end, you want people, you want people as healthy as they possibly can be. And Addison, I mean, the proof will be in a very short stint. You can have a Jalen Naylor or somebody step in, but Jordan plays an integral part of this, offense. Yeah. Man. Excited to see him kind of get past this. Yeah. By all accounts, it sounds like he had a weird controversy-free summer. Yeah. And hopefully learning from this past situation can push him forward in the right spot. Yeah, it is one of those things that, I think he'll probably, sounds like he's going to talk about it today a little bit, so we'll hear more of what he's thinking. But yes, I think he is kind of ready to, the case is done now, and whatever the NFL is going to do, he has said in the past he'll accept it. So you think they already kind of know? I mean, without a ruling, it's kind of like, we're getting games here. Well, yeah. I mean, the league's approach with this has typically been 3 games. So the question, I guess, would be: is it less than that? I don't think it's not going to be more than that. But the typical approach in recent years has been 3 games for an alcohol-related thing, the first offense. So that, I assume, is what everybody's kind of, as a rule of thumb, thinking is going to happen. And we'll see how that goes once we get the official word. But yeah, I think everybody's kind of saying, well, if I had to bet on it, that's probably what it is. See you week 4. Yeah. Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com, covers the Minnesota Vikings for said entity. Learn more about Access Vikings, the newsletter, and much more things they do via podcasting, via his Twitter feed, at Ben Goessling. That NFC North question we posed before Ben got here, we'll present that to him, plus much more in our final segment with Ben around the corner. Kara Savage is producing 9 to noon from the great ship Love Covenant at FM 100.3 KFAN, and she has the cash thing. Kara, good morning.
Good morning. The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword check at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword check. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
Man.
So do you come into camp thinking it's, it'll play itself out 2 and 3? McCarthy, Hal, Rippin, or McCarthy, Rippin, Hal, and Brosmer with that nice arm? Yeah. I mean, it might not even be a puncher's chance, but it's a long shot because he's in the starting gate. So therefore he has a chance to win one of those jobs. He's in the gate. He is. And they kind of like him. Yeah. Well, he, when I saw him at minicamp and a little bit of organized team activities, I mean, I watched him on TV and stuff, but like he's bigger than I thought. Like the arm is Max Brosmer kind of looks like he belongs at least on a practice squad in the NFL. Don't you agree? He strikes me as a guy they will keep around and try to develop, whether that's as the third quarterback, whether it's practice squad. I mean, whether you keep 3 on the active roster is probably the other question there. But yes, I think they like him. I think, that goes back to, I can remember being at that Gopher Pro Day the year that he had transferred from New Hampshire. And I remember watching him, and I think I was kind of standing near Kevin O'Connell
when he was first throwing, and there was like a little bit of a, okay, let's keep a look at this guy and kind of keep in the back of your mind.
The same reaction O'Connell would reveal when he would watch Josh Dobbs throw.
Yeah.
Same thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, yes, I think it was something that stuck out to them a little bit back then. And then, of course, he's there again this year. And there's O'Connell and PJ Fleck share enough ideas. They go back and forth enough, I think, just to pick each other's brains of, hey, what are you doing? At this level, what are we doing at this level? Just to kind of compare notes if it's useful. So I think there's enough discussion there that's given them some background on Max. And then I think they've liked his arm. They like what he's shown in the time that he's been here. I think he'll have a chance to stick around. And I think it's probably more likely than not that he does. Where that shakes out in the final roster accounting, we'll see. But I would not be surprised if he's still here in September in some capacity.
So the Tennessee game feels like Brosmer play action, looking deep to either Silas Bolden or maybe Dante Fleming.
Yeah, it's
welcome to Nashville.
Something like that. It should be riveting. I mean, I don't know. It's
Ben Urasek up the seam potentially.
Urasek. All right, now in closing, take as much time as you want. Let's start here. Are the Vikings more probable to win the NFC North or finish last in the NFC North?
Boy,
the gray area, it doesn't make anybody any money.
No, the division has plenty of opportunities for it. I would say they're more likely to win it than finish last. I mean, the Bears are going to be better. Yes, I mean that's intriguing. The Packers, I still don't quite know. They have enough talent. They have more stability, really, than anybody else, given the fact that they didn't lose any coordinators. And the Lions, you have to say, okay, Frank Ragnow's not there. Yep. Ben Johnson's not there. Aaron Glenn's not there. How much is all of that going to affect what they do, and how much is the loss of Johnson and Ragnow going to affect Jared Goff?
Yep.
I think the question with the Vikings, obviously, is JJ McCarthy. And that's a big question because it's the most important position in sports. But we saw this last year where everybody was cool on them because we didn't know about the quarterback. I think what they did with Sam Darnold and how they've felt about McCarthy, the people they passed up going after, the four-time MVP that they said, yeah, we're good, when they have JJ McCarthy in the building, I think it speaks for a lot. And I think what they did last year with Darnold, at least in my mind, gives them the benefit of the doubt. I think if O'Connell was able to do that last year, and the only question that we really had last year, I mean, we had questions about the corners too, but the main one was the quarterback situation last year, and that's why Vegas was cool on them, and that's frankly why I picked them to miss the playoffs. This year, looking at it with the depth of the roster, how they feel about McCarthy, and just what they've done with quarterbacks, I think it's more likely they would win the division. I think it's a playoff team for sure. So I think they'll be in the mix. It's a tough division. Yes, the schedule is tougher than it was last year. You're not beating up on the AFC South, but I would put them more on I'm more bullish on them than I was last year. Let's put it that way.
And the team to beat in the division would be?
I would still say the Lions until proven otherwise.
Yeah. Especially with Hutchinson back.
Yeah, yes. And that I think that matters a lot. And that's a team that's won it 2 years in a row. They obviously win 15 games last year. They win the game to ice the division title in their place after beating the Vikings the year before. I think you have to go with them until somebody shows that they can knock them off. But I think it's going to be as intriguing of a division as there is in football. I mean, this whole year between the storylines of the Vikings and the storyline of this division is going to be a lot of fun, I think.
The early the first game. I don't know if I've said this on the radio or not, but I've told a bunch of people the last couple of weeks that for me, it's the 2009 Favre debut at Cleveland. I mean, when he rolled in here before that Kansas City preseason game at Metrodome, it was ballyhooed and a lot of people were excited. And he's Brett Favre. He's HOF to be at that time. It's the level of excitement into that game, I think from the fan base certainly, but for me it was pretty high.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying season openers for yours truly, they don't excite me. They do, but they generally don't excite me in July.
Yeah.
I've been excited for McCarthy versus Dennis Allen, Ben Johnson versus Brian Flores, where all of Ben's stuff it's new, but it's not new, but it is new because the players are new. And it's a Monday night game.
Yeah.
I mean, this season opener is phenomenal.
Yes, JJ McCarthy, Caleb Williams, the chatter about whether he actually wanted to be here, which has been reported. And JJ McCarthy said after he got drafted, all 6 of these guys saw the Vikings as the best place to be. And obviously, Williams was only going to go to one place. But there's all of those layers to things that make this very intriguing. The Vikings and the Bears obviously did the big reboots of their franchise at the same time, and the Vikings have had a lot more success with theirs than the Bears have had with theirs to this point. But, yeah, all of the things that the Bears have done to accentuate things around Caleb Williams, which is getting to be kind of a key juncture in their rebuild, yes, the whole thing is going to be a lot of fun. The fact that it's primetime Monday night only adds to it.
Is 9 to Noon may delve into this today. It's written, but I think we're going to run out of time, so probably tomorrow. It involves the word stigma. Is there a developing stigma here of not being able to win playoff games? And so this regime, has won 13, 7, 14.
I believe it's 34 and 17 in 3 years.
Well, look at that. I mean, that's nice. And remember the Kevin O'Connell historical numbers from last year in one-score games of at least 15 or 20 or more. So that's relative. We ain't talking about 4 games. You got that. You got the roster. Everybody's getting extensions. And he's coach of the year. But they haven't won a playoff game. So I'm not going to call it a stigma, but it's a developing, the potential of a developing stigma, despite all the shiny toys and the bells and whistles. It's taking place, isn't it?
I agree.
They have to pop through that this year.
Yes, I agree. And they've been favored in both of those games. It's worth noting that. So one obviously is at home. One is kind of in a neutral site after the Wildfires got that game moved to Arizona last year. But yes, that is becoming a thing. And I also thought it was interesting yesterday. This is not a front office or a coaching staff that runs from expectations. I mean, you see sometimes where people say, well, we haven't broken through yet, but we're making progress, and you guys are getting too worried about the fact that it hasn't happened in the playoffs. That's not what you hear from these guys. What you hear is there is a standard we want to be at. There's a championship standard. We have not hit it yet, and we need to find a way to get there. I mean, all of this talk about more is required from players, and people are kind of embracing that. There's nobody sitting here saying, well, yeah, it's been a nice run. We've won 34 games. You should pat us on the back for that. This is a head coach that came to Minnesota probably with confetti still on a lot of his clothes after winning the Super Bowl with the Rams as the OC. So he's been there in the fairly recent past. And I think not being able to extend it in the playoffs a couple of times gets at him. And I don't think anybody is shying away from the fact that needs to change.
I don't know if this is permanent with the Chicago Bears, but Courtney Cronin, who covers the Bears for ESPN, looking at one of her tweets between segments, Bears camp day one has come to a conclusion. 8:45 in the morning till 10 a.m.
Must be nice.
Don't you love that?
Yeah, that'd be great.
It's unbelievable. 8:45 till 10. I mean, weather eliminated, humidity eliminated. You scribe you take in the press conferences, you scribe your story, and you're still available for Apple Valley High School off-season training at like 2:00.
Yeah, it would be nice. And just the not having, I just look at the weather forecast today. It's like, yeah, we start at 2:30 today, and we're going to be out there sweating. So, it's the morning practices would be a nice adaptation. It has not happened here, and it doesn't seem like it's going to change.
O'Connell keeps making it later.
Yeah,
it's like it was like when 9 to noon would end from the perch. It was just starting.
Yep.
And then it went to like 1 or 1:30, and then like 2. I mean, it's the physical nature when he stresses that this will be a physical camp.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna go up a half hour because I know 2:30 to 4 it's gonna be hotter.
Get your electrolytes.
All right, you're the best. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ben Goessling, Star Tribune, StarTribune.com, at Ben Goessling via X. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, joins 9 to noon, 30 minutes from now. News du Nord is next.
Man.
Get ready, comedian Nate Bargatze is bringing 2 nights of laughs to XL Energy Center. Don't miss out on the hilarity when he takes the stage on Saturday, July 26th and Sunday, July 27th with the Big Dumb Eyes World Tour. Limited tickets are still available. Get all the details now at KFAN.com /calendar.
It is now post time for News Due North. That's the 9 to noon experiences version of a sports update provided each and every weekday by Canterbury Park and CanterburyPark.com. We have not conducted live racing at Canterbury in a week and a half, but we're back. We're back at it this evening, 5 o'clock. Tomorrow night, 5 o'clock. Tomorrow, Thursday, I believe, is $2 night, where like admission's $2. You get there's a hot dog deal for $2, just beer deals, things like that. That's tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Tonight, for those of you who speculate and try to make money with your minds and you know what you're looking at with past performances, because we haven't raced in a week and a half, the fields are massive tonight. The unpredictability is going to be incredibly high. The pick 5, I predict, pays at least $3,000 tonight for a 50-cent investment. So if you're looking to make some money, whether you handicap or not, we prefer that you look at the past performances and analytically speaking, you're putting your money up and it's hard earned. So therefore, put some time into it if you have the opportunity. But most people don't use daily racing form or past performances at Canterbury, and that's fine too. Because whether it's your favorite riders or horses' names or Billy, Johnny, Christy, Susie, Dustin, Antoine, or Tamika are picking their favorite names or whatever, tonight's a wonderful night to play those pick 4s and that pick 5. Pick 5 means 5 consecutive races. Use as many or as few horses in each leg as you desire. Bet starts at 50 cents. I'm just telling you, because I handicapped this thing, it took about 2 hours. Normally it doesn't take me that long. The fields are big. The turf racing is incredibly unpredictable tonight. And I think we are going to have boffo payoffs with trifectas, superfectas, pick 4 and pick 5 tonight at Canterbury Park. CanterburyPark.com for information. And here they are.
And if you don't want to use the daily racing forum, if you are picking your favorite names, that's a terrific route to go. And in a lot of cases, it's Dave's faves.
Yep.
Okay, so when you walk in and you got admission, you got the card casino, the casino at Canterbury Park to your right. To your left, you're going to see a delightful young woman, or potentially, if you're heading to the other entrance, you'll see Dave himself, Dave's faves. It's like $2 or $3, and it pays off every summer for Mad Producer. It paid off for the Minnesota Twins last night, PA. A little news update on the baseball team after getting Ohtani'd a couple nights ago. Last night, they win 10-7 in a barn burner out of Chavez Ravine. And Royce Lewis, it's amazing, PA. He goes 0 for 4 last night, but he has 3 RBIs, hits into a force out that scores, I believe it was, I think Correa scored. Yeah, Correa had 3 or 4 times across the plate last night.
Correa made it 1-0. That's when I was watching.
Yep. And that was hit into a force out. Then he walks in a run. And then later on in the game, he reached on an error to the shallow infield. So he's 0 for 4, but he got 3 across the plate. The Twins victorious last night over Yamamoto and the Dodgers. So a team that's still grinding, and every bit of the conversation you follow at PA has always been, can they win enough to feel like they're in a spot to strike with the trade deadline on the horizon? It's 7 or 8 games, something like that, until the 31st. So they got decisions to make, but feeling good after Correa's blast the other night fell so short of tying the game 5-5. They lose 5-2. To get across the finish line with a W last night has to feel good for the Twins faithful.
Royce Lewis stole a base 2 games ago. It was just crazy because he never steals. I think it was his first steal since 2023. But then listening to the broadcast and I don't know who the analyst is. And they don't put his graphic up to see his name on the 1261 in the Comcast covenant. I know Corey Provis is calling the games. But the analyst they're using now, he was talking about this meeting that took place after the Rocky series into the Dodger series. And, I was in attendance Friday night at Coors Field to see Twins and Colorado. I mean, the Rockies are like a no-hitting team of all no-hitting teams ever to not hit. I mean, they were up 5-0 in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Paddock just got rocked in that game.
4 in the first alone, yeah.
Yeah, 4 in the first. And so then they lose the next game, high scoring, like 10-6. And then JoJo settles things down on Sunday. They win like 7-1.
It's crazy, yeah.
And then some of the things, that I read, I didn't hear it, but, like Ryan, maybe the All-Star game or whatever being, and I'm sure you brought this up 9 to noon when you were filling in for the vocal maintenance days, or at least you read it, where Ryan, like when he was asked about the potential of being traded, he was kind of like, yeah, that's really exciting. Like something about it is exciting.
Yeah. Well, I think,
and I'm like, bro, that's just, yeah, you're right. That's not necessarily the right way to put it. What a badass he is right now. And off what you're saying about, are they close enough or not? Well, to get a wild card spot, they're relatively close, despite losing these games and stuff. So I think what you brought up is pertinent, specifically involving Joe Ryan, who I don't want to say he wants to be traded, but players want to go to teams that have a chance to win the World Series.
Right.
And Ryan never has been better than he is right now.
Yeah, and so his trade value would never be higher. And I'll admit, I read that in the context that I think he, and saying he's excited, you could say he's saying it the wrong way, but I think he was it was in the context that means I'm having a good year. I'm an all-star, to be talked about in trade conversations, to be talked about as a person that could go help a team win a World Series. It's exciting because I know that I'm healthy. I know that I'm doing the right things every 5 days. Now, personally, whether that was the context of it or not, you have to be in a spot right now. And Buxton, I think that was discussed, and he was very overt and very blatant about it. I'm excited to be a Twin for the rest of my life. So Buxton, at least from a Twins fan standpoint,
I missed that one.
Was saying it, saying things in the right way or the right vein. But
JoJo came out, and correct me if I'm wrong here, and was like, "Yeah, that'd be exciting."
Yeah, I think effectively that's what it was.
Like, damn.
But and you look at JoJo's situation. I was talking. I can't remember. Maybe was it Dan Hayes? Was it? Oh, it may have been Bonus last Friday. Is Joe Ryan a $30 million pitcher? Ooh. Is he 30
a year?
That's what. Yeah, because he's making $3 million this year, and then I think they have 2 more years of team control.
He's only getting $3 million?
Yeah, he's going to get a raise in the next year. Let's call that 7, 8, 9, 10. Mm-hmm. He's going to get a raise the year after that, so maybe it's 12, 13, 14, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But Joe Ryan, when healthy, in last year and then now throughout this time in 2025, he's pitched like a number 1-ish, number 2 certainly pitcher.
And he doesn't necessarily always get run support, but he's a stopper.
Yes.
You see, a stopper is not Mariano Rivera, who comes in, enter Sandman playing, and he has the cutter that's just going to stop everything and win the game. The stopper is like related to a starter, and you got negative stuff happening, which they've had a fair amount here. And then Ryan comes in, and everything turns around, and you win the game. He has some big-time stopper to him.
Well, and it stinks because you think, like you mentioned, they were a 22-win team before the series at Coors Field, and suddenly you're seeing Paddock get rocked, and then welcome back Zebby. You're trying to hope he has a chance on Saturday, and is also a problem. But then the glaring difference. They just don't have it, man. Even if Pablo's healthy, now you're feeling okay. 2 out of 5 ain't bad.
Yep.
You're kind of trying to play the bit. I'm curious. I don't have it. Maybe it's Simeon today. I feel dumb.
Simeon last night.
Excuse me, Simeon yesterday. So I don't have in front of me who goes today.
And see, I stopped. They were up 3-0 when I stopped watching.
It'll be
last
Paddock
night.
again.
Paddock today?
Yeah.
So they're up 3-0 when I went to bed and started to get ready for today. And Woods Richardson, he really over the last 5 starts, I'd say. Now, maybe I went to bed and he got destroyed, and all of a sudden it was like 4-3 Dodgers and he was diseased. He looked pretty good. Yeah. He's taken a positive step over like his last 5 starts.
Well, he gave up. I think he only went 3 last night.
Okay.
So he ended up, and it was 3 earned, gave up the homer, just a couple of Ks. So definitely would be the worst start he's had over the last month.
Yeah.
But into the break, that was the conversation, and specifically with Lavelle, who wrote about it.
Yeah.
One of his columns, kind of the idea is Festa is not festering. He's not been a complete disaster.
Yeah.
And Simeon Woods Richardson, people kind of getting after Rocco Baldelli a bit, saying, hey, can he go more than 5? It's been very particular. It's very specific. It's 5 and fly for him. Don't like him third time through the lineup. So that's kind of been a little bit of talker over the break.
Yeah.
But for this team to make that jump, and while you're totally correct, 4 or 5 games out of the wild card spot, they're in striking distance. But they got 4 or 5 teams that are in front of them that are 4.5 and 4. So they got to hop, skip, and jump a handful of teams to get into playoff contention. But they're going to need Festa to be a bit better. They're going to need, and you got the run support last night, thankfully. You put 10 on the board. You should win almost all those games. You get that for Simeon Woods Richardson, but those guys got to be so much better than they are. And Paddock can't be a complete freaking disaster tonight. So you're playing that game. Joe comes in. He's the stopper. But then good freaking luck the other 4 days of the week. Are you playing the bullpen bit? It's an awful situation without Pablo Lopez. So Joe Ryan, excited to be part of the conversation, or maybe he's just thinking, hey, I think he's 30 right now, or 29 or 30. Yeah, I might have a chance to win a World Series, because it doesn't look like that's going to be the case here in 2025. Totally get it with them. But yeah, in the finale, it looks like you got to have Paddock do better than he did the other night. Now, lastly, I did want to hit you with this. This happened while you were gone, as a matter of fact.
Take your time. Quasey's running a little late.
The news coming out in the NBA. So we're talking about the NBA. Chris Paul, nearing age 40, might be 40. Chris Paul's going to come back, and he's going to play for the Los Angeles Clippers.
Wow. He used to be with the Clippers.
So now, and so it's kind of that, in the way that Damian Lillard took a 3-year deal, is going back to Portland.
Yeah,
so
sweet.
It's, the coming home tour, a little nostalgia and all of that. So Chris Paul, that's
Delano
cool.
Blanton's like, mother.
But think about this. This is an all-star team from 2016 PA. You got Harden, you got Leonard.
Yeah.
They added Bradley Beal.
Oh wow.
They added Brooke Lopez.
Jeez.
They have Paul, so you still, and then John Collins, tough stretches with Atlanta, or good stretches with Atlanta, tough stretches, I believe, with Utah most recently. Now he's out in LA. Mm-hmm. But what about that freaking team? I mean, Steve Ballmer's trying to put together a freaking retirement league in a muddy West where he's sweating every night. Harden's going to make almost all the dances, because that's just what he does. And he's going to get, 8-9 free throws a game. He's going to hit a fair amount of threes. Harden feels ageless.
James Harden's 2024-2025, I think, was my favorite James Harden season of his career, because it just never stopped. I mean, he just was good the entire season, and he's sharing the ball. He's not ball hogging or pounding the ball for 15 seconds of the shot clock, waiting to get his own thing. It was a new version of James Harden last year, man. I was very impressed with him.
Well, and they need him to be that way, because Kawhi, sadly, since they won the title in Toronto, he's just falling apart, man. And it's tough to watch greatness when you see some of that magic taken away from you. But whether it's been the knees and other health-related issues, Kawhi can't stay on the court. Bradley Beal's coming off of 2 incredibly uninspiring seasons with the Phoenix Suns. And then Chris Paul probably can't. He's another guy you're going to have to be constantly metering out.
Crazy.
Energy, how you feeling in the morning. Hey, what's up, CP? He's on the training table, getting looked at, ice tubs every single day. The retirement league in the Western Conference with the Clippers is just unbelievable at this point.
Well, LeBron with the Lakers, Curry and Draymond, super old for the Warriors. There's a segue taking place. I mean, the Western Conference is the land of opportunity.
Yeah.
OKC, I think what was it? It was a different team has won the NBA championship 9 consecutive years.
7 or 8, yeah.
Yeah, 7 or 8. So, OKC should be favored to win it next year, but that's the target at which to shoot. Personally speaking, I think the Mavericks are the 1A in that equation, if they can keep the right people healthy. Then you got the Wolves, who keep going to the Western Conference finals and losing. But things are changing in the West.
Yeah.
And this is all part of it with what you laid out about the LA Clippers. All right, that's News du Nord, provided by Canterbury Park and CanterburyPark.com. Racing tonight at 5 o'clock in Shakopee, CanterburyPark.com. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, general manager for the Minnesota Vikings, joins us within the next 20-25 minutes. You're listening to 9 to Noon.